Now I'm going to show you how to start to assemble your rose. So the first thing I have is I'm going to start in the center with my little bud, and I also have here a piece of the florist wire. Now I'm going to, if I can very carefully, push the wire up into the bud just a little bit, just to hold it in place. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't stay there, if it slips down, and you don't want it to go up through the top, but we just want it to stay in there as best we can. I'm going to take the longer wire and hold it down, and the shorter wire I'm going to come in up the top. I'm supporting it quite well here at the top, and then I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it around. Now no one's ever going to see this, so it doesn't matter if it's not a good job. Once, twice, 3 times. Now see, my little bud's come undone, but that's okay because I can just put it back together again when I'm finished. And now if you're having trouble wrapping it around, you can always bring in your pliers and help wrap it around with your pliers, but it doesn't need to be too many times. It's just purely, and see, I'm not going on top of each other, I'm trying to continue down the wire a little bit. There we go, and I think that's pretty much enough. And then I'm just going to lift it up slightly, come in and cut it close to that wire. And this one can just lay down straight here like that, in position, and just lay straight. There we go. Now what I'm going to do to secure it even more is I'm going to cover it with florist tape. So I've cut my piece of florist tape here. I don't need too much, you know, maybe 4 inches or so. And I'm just going to give it a little pull to start, because it gets sticky once you start using it. And I'm going to come up quite close to the bud here, and I'm just going to lay the tape over the top, and I'll actually go around so that it sticks to itself once or twice. Now don't worry, no one's ever going to see this, so because it's going to be hidden inside our flower. Once I've got that pretty tight and secure, I can then bring the tape down at an angle, and I can start to wrap it down the stem. And I'm also capturing this spare wire in at the same time. So you can see here, and just take your time with it because you want it to get sticky and stick on itself. Or, I mean, once you get good at it, you can twirl and go faster. Now the reason I'm covering this is it just makes it easier for when I start putting the other flowers around or the other petals around. Gives me an easier grip. Okay, all the way down there. Now I've still got wire here, but that's fine. I've covered this now with the florist tape, and I've got my stem attached to my little bud in there, so that's perfect. Right, so now the next thing to do is we bring in the 3 little buds, and these are going to surround this. Now we want them also to have a little bit of shape. So I found that the easiest way, I guess, to do it is to just wrap it over your finger. You can, if you can find a bit of wire that's a bit thicker than this, bend it over that. I have actually been known to use the spindle of my bead spinner and just come in and hold it in place and then bend it around to get some shape. See that? And I can do that with all of them. If you don't have your bead spinner, but I think actually the bead spinner doesn't do a bad job, you can just lay your finger on the side and just bring the sides up over your finger. See, like that? and then, but you can see the bead spinner gave me a thinner bend, and here with this one the same, over the bend. So now I've got a little bit of shape to them. Can you see that? Not too much, but just a little bit. And then what I need to do is I'm going to now mold them so that I can sort of get them into a bit of a circle. Just a little bit. See, I want them to overlap. And now to get them to overlap even more, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of my wires and I'm going to go over this flower. Now don't forget to leave a gap in the middle because we've got to put this inside. I'm going to go over the flower, over that first petal, and down and across. And you can even do the same with this one if you want to, but that just brings it in, and then I can bring them in and get them nicely. And take your time here with this, and you'll be able to do more of it on the flower. But see, I've tried to keep that area in the middle open so that then I can push this down through. So I'll put my stem through, and then I can bring this up as far as I can. Now I do want this stem part to stick out a little bit more so that these are lower. And again, just like I did before, I'm going to take one wire and lay it down on the stem. I can bring these in a little bit closer, bring them in, and I can even bring them in around my finger. See that? Then holding this firmly, I'm going to take this wire, and it's coming up as close as I can. I'm going to wrap it around here a couple of times to secure it in place, and then I can trim off this wire. So that is our first little set. Now it's time to do the next set. Here's our set of 4 petals. We need to shape them and bring them into a circle and place them onto the stem just like we did with the first set. Once they're up, wire them in place quite securely, and you can shape them with your fingers. Here's the next set of 5, the smaller set. Again, shape them and bring them up around the flower. Now it's really important that you take your time and get them as close to the previous set as possible and shape them in before you wire them. I always wire going downwards and make sure it's nice and firm to keep your flower in place, and then you can just trim it off. Get ready then to start with the next set of larger 5, which is done in exactly the same way. But to shape them, take your time because this is the outer layer. Do them over your finger and take time to make sure that they look good. Again, once you've put them around, it's just, maneuver it down and bring it up again as closely as you can and bring them up nice and close. Take your time here because this is our outer layer. Again, wire it really firmly in place and trim the wire. Now, when you shape this, you want to overlap those little petals so that they sort of sit in between each other. So now I've attached all of the petals and I'm happy with my flower. It's time to bring in the sepal. Now I don't shape these too much, just a little perhaps, to give them a bend upwards, just so that they can cup around the flower. And then once I get it on the flower, I'll probably bring these out a little bit, see, like that. So I've got them cupped, see, so I can make like a little bowl for them. Again, I'll put one wire, hold one down, one around the back, over the front, and down again. Get in there, that's it. You can see I've still got a nice hole in the middle in order to bring them in. Try and get them a bit even around, like so. And then I'm ready. Pop this in make sure the wires all go in. There we go. And up it goes. Oh, look at that. I can take it up as far as I can. That's nice. Get it in position as best I can. Because I cupped them beforehand, it's sort of shaping very nicely around the flower. Hold one wire down and get the other one, and around we go. Nice tight wrap around the bottom, holding everything in place. Look at that, lovely. Now it's time to cover the stem and get rid of, and see, I've kept these as flat as I can so that my stem isn't all knotted. It's all going to be just nice and firm. Okay, so florist tape, again about maybe 10 inches. Give it a little pull at the end, and I want to get up as far up to here onto the bottom as I can. So I'm going to bring it in and just wrap it around, and then I'm going to just wrap it on itself and spin it a little bit, yeah, to get it going. See, now look how I've got a lovely nice stem, because those wires have just all been laying very neatly beside each other. And there's my rose on its stem, all done. And now it's time to do the leaves. So the first way to deal with the leaf is we're going to wrap each of them, each stem, with florist wire. So for this you only need a few inches of florist wire. I'll start with the big one. Just give it exactly the same. I come up nice and close to the stem, and again I always go around straight for the first couple of wraps to get it secured before I angle and go downways. Alright, so there's one done, and so now I'll do the others. So I've wrapped all my 3 leaves, and now it's time to put them together. I mean, you can come in and put them on the stem one at a time, but I find it's easier if you attach these to each other first and then attach them to the flower. So I think I'll probably put, you know, one about here, and probably one, you know, even at the same sort of height, so that they'll sit like that. So what I'll do is I'll start wrapping here and I'll come down. Now remember, you want to make sure that you don't have the back showing, so you want all 3 fronts showing, not one back and a front. So that's what we'll start now. So again, just get yourself a bit of tape. Again, probably, you know, no more than 6 inches is plenty. Depends on how long your stems are. Let's begin. So we're going to come down to about there. So it's about 1.5 inches or so. So again, I'll start in. I always start straight so that it has a good chance of catching. Just go around a couple of times so that you get a nice close wrap, and then we'll start to move downwards. Okay, until we get to our point where we want to bring in our first leaf, which I'd say about here. So then I can just lay that here, and I can even, as I'm going to put them in the same position, I can even bring this one in at the same time, or I can do it, you know, I can do one, then I can go back and do the other. It really doesn't matter. So we do a wrap straight over the top. You can do a straight wrap. Got one in. Bring in the other. Again with a straight wrap right across. Just stay straight. And then we can start to go down and cover all of this. So again, now at an angle, and down we go. Just covering up all the stems, all the wires. So now it's time to attach my leaves to my rose. So I can think, where do I want to put it? Do I want to put them lower, you know, down here? Do I want them higher up here? So then I just ascertain where I would like my leaves to sit. And I probably think about this point here. So just like I attached the leaves, I'm going to, okay, so I've come down about, what, 2 inches. So I'll get myself a nice long piece of tape, maybe about 8 inches or so, 8 to 10. And again, I can start right at the top here. I've got a good grip on here, so I can start right up the top. Once I've got it up there nice and tightly, I can then start to bring it down. So again, I just lay this side by side for the moment, put it where I want it to be, which is probably about here, and then I can start again to do a straight wrap, straight over a few times, and then I can bring it down at an angle. And again, if you want more security, you can always start from the top again and come down again. Just get these nice and straight next to each other. There we go. So now I've got them in position, it's time to shape the leaves. And I can put them where I want them then too. So I could even bring them, so I'm just going to shape them. Hold it in place over my finger. Give it a twist that way. Yep. Do this one over, maybe give it a twist the other direction, and this one here over my finger, and give this a nice twist. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'll just bring my leaves into position where I want them. There's my finished flower.